I want to say a happy Teachers' Day to each of you. And I want to say this very, very sincerely. You as a teacher have a vital role to play in our children's life. There are two institutions that God instituted. One is the church, then I think first you should say it is the family, and then the church. And then the third most powerful institution is the school. Somebody said this so wonderfully. He who opens the door of a school closes the door of prisons. So the well-educated they are, the less likely, I'm not saying all educated people will not go to prison, but less likely to go into prison. Education and the relationship the teacher could have with the students is so significantly vital. I would say thank you for choosing this noble profession. And I want to bless you and thank God for you for choosing to be a teacher. And Lord, I want to say this to each of you as teachers. You are in the most influential position you can ever dream of being. Particularly in the juncture in which our country is going through, or it's true all over the world. We have more broken families now than ever before. We have single parenting more now than ever before. Alcohol abuse in the family is much more now than ever before. Now, according to statistics, 30% of all children all over the world are struggling with depression. According to the government survey of the Ministry for Women and Child, they tell us that more than 50% of our children in India have been sexually abused. Now, we know that for sure in every class there will be a slow learner. In every class there is a child who comes from a broken home or a single parent home. In every child there's probably one student who comes with whose father is either absent or alcoholic or abusive. We know that in every class that you teach, you have students who have been wounded, who have been hurt, and come from various background of pain and suffering. Now, you as a teacher have an amazing role to play. I would think that if you take all of the students put together, the percentage of students who come from normal homes with normal background, I would just put that in brackets, normal home, because is very, very less. Most of our children come with traumas of pain and hurt. And somebody said this so tragically and observed this. He said the church is the one place where the people who are hurt already get hurt. People who are already hurt get hurt. I want to plead with you as teachers. I want you to recognize this awesome responsibility. You have children there, very few of them are normal. Most of them have gone through much pain, and therefore, please, I plead with you, recognize their hurts, recognize their pain, recognize their need for love, for understanding, to feel they are significant, that each of them are precious, and that, most of these children come into our classrooms having no hope, no desire for the future because of the various hurts that they have. I'm not saying that all the children, there are some people who come there really motivated and really to study. This is my definition of a teacher. A teacher is one who is passionate about his subject, who's so passionate about the subject that he would like to teach the subject even if he doesn't get paid, because he simply loves to impart knowledge. He is A teacher is one who's always studying. A teacher is one who has fallen in love with the subject, and because he has fallen in love with the subject, encourage the students to fall in the love with the subject. And as the student falls in love with the subject, increases curiosity about the subject, the teacher just guides him, motivates him to where to get information. For me as a teacher is one who is more an inspirer, one who inspires the student, and by the inspiration, he is more an inspirer than an instructor. Can I say that again? A teacher is more of one who inspires than one who instructs. And this is what the children need. If they fall in love, I remember I went to a school to do some sessions from the school. The school was on top of the mountain. And we had one session, after that we had dinner. The geography teacher was absent. And we were looking for him. He missed the session, he missed the dinner. He came in very late. This it was a clear sky, beautiful, all the stars were. And he came in very late, and they asked him, "Hey, what happened to you? You missed the session. You missed the dinner." "No, I just went out to see the stars. I saw the Venus. I saw the various planets. I was so fascinated. I forgot about time. I forgot about time." Now, he is a geography teacher. One who's so fascinated about the universe. And he comes to the classroom and he tells the children, "You know what? I saw Venus last night." This is what a teacher should be. And he should have a sparkle in his eye. He must have an inspiration in his life so that the student just fall in love. Can I say this as a all learning takes place in the context of a loving relationship. And you as a teacher, your greatest thing should be, how can I make the student fall in love with me? How will I make them recognize that I truly care for them and love them? And I tell you one thing, please remember this. Your students want to know how much you care for them. They do not care so much as how much you know. Can I say that again? They care how much you care for them, not necessarily how much you know about the subject. They don't care about that. But that doesn't mean you are slacking in your subject. You need to know. But you know what our Jesus, our Lord, said is so beautifully, so beautifully. He said, "They will know you're my disciples by your love." By your love. You're not a Christian teacher because you have Mary and Mercy or any Christian name for that matter, or Joy for that matter. That doesn't make you a Christian. If you can just radiate the love of Jesus through your words, through your action, through the way you care for them, that the student realizes that you deeply love them. I always say this. All learning takes place in the context of a loving relationship. All transformation and correction takes place in the context of a loving relationship. When the student recognizes that you deeply love them, when the student recognizes that you deeply care for them, they will listen to you because they understand deep in the core of their being. Okay, this teacher is telling me because they truly, truly love me. Love is the only transforming agent. And through your love, through the concern that you have for each child, I'll tell you one more thing. Jesus, our Lord, said these words. He said, "Go the extra mile." As a teacher, if you're just doing your mere work as a teacher, you come every day, give the lecture, give the talk, and disappear, you've just done what you can get paid for. Just do a little more than a normal teacher will do. Spend a little more meaningful time with each child. Just say a word of encouragement and recognition for each child. And I always say this, everybody lives by encouragement, or they die slowly, sadly, and angrily. Said beautifully. I'll say this again. Everybody lives by encouragement, or they die slowly, sadly, and angrily. If in the year that you are a teacher to the students, if each of these students can say, that particular teacher, that teacher particularly loved me, believed in me, that will be more than enough. I want you as teachers, I will encourage you as teachers to believe in each of your students. I love to tell this story. I want to tell two stories and I'll close. I was not very good in school. In fact, I failed many times. But then there was a pastor who came into my life. And I was about 22 years old and I did not even pass my 10th standard. He looked in my eyes the first day I came into the ministry. He usually doesn't put on tie or a shoe. That's in Chennai, very hot. But that day, when I first day I came into the ministry, he said, I'm going to have a special prayer for you all. So we came. He was fully dressed up as he was going for some wedding. We were wondering what happened to this. And then he said these words. He said, you must be wondering why I put this tie and coat and shoe and everything. You know? And then he said these words. He said this. You are seeing yourself as you see yourself now. But I am seeing what God can make of you in 20 years from now. Amazing. 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 Exactly 20 years from that. 1977. In 1997, I was the senior pastor, one of the largest churches here in Bangalore. You are seeing yourself as you see yourself now, as a failure, good for nothing, with no gifts and talents, nothing to boast about. But I want to tell you one thing. You as a teacher must believe in each of your children and somehow inspire them to believe in themselves. That God has a beautiful plan. God does not make ordinary people. God does not make any people with no gifts and talents. Each of your students can do something in history nobody else in history can accomplish. Can I say that again? Believe in each student because each of these students were created uniquely by God to achieve something significant. Nobody in history can do what they will be able to accomplish. Believe in each of the children and make them recognize that they are precious and they too can achieve something awesome in this world. I want to tell you another story. My daughter Kavita had some difficulties in Hindi. So I arranged a private tuition for her, a retired professor. So I went and talked to him the first day and I said, you know what, my daughter is finding a difficulty in Hindi. Could you take some extra classes for her? He said, sure, bring her. Next day I took my daughter Kavita and I said, sir, this is my daughter. Her name is Kavita. This master, a very elderly man, he looked into my eyes of my daughter and said, Kavita, there are three things I want to tell you. First, I want you to believe in God. Second, I want you to believe in me as your teacher. Then he said the third thing. He said, I want you to believe in yourself that you could study in me. Hallelujah. That's so significant. You as a teacher must begin to make the student recognize that they are able, they have the capacity, they have the capability of learning. If you can inspire that, if you can encourage them in that way, they are definitely going to become great, significant people. Because as a teacher, you are that catalyst who can bring the other beautiful things in them. I want to tell you another story. Another story to tell you about love and how people flourish, people grow and become amazing people because of a loving relationship. You are as a teacher, at one time you were a student, right? If you can reflect the days when you were a student, you learned the subjects from teachers who you knew loved you. And when you love the teacher, you automatically fell in love with the subject. Sometimes, because there's a broken relationship, or the teacher is very harsh and rude and not loving to the students, students can get turned off from subjects. Can I say that again? When that loving relationship is not there between the student and the teacher, students can get turned off from particular subject or sometimes even studying itself. Loving relationship is so important, so important. I'll tell you another story. It's a story of many years ago when I started, I was a warden in a school here in Bangalore. And there was a student who gave a lot of trouble. He gave trouble to the PD master, he gave trouble in the dining hall, in the study hall, everywhere. So just for it, I'm just saying, we just call him at this time. It's a real story, but I'm just changing the name. Let's call him John. John gave trouble to everyone at school. Everyone at school. And it became worse because I was his warden, so I got to see him day in and day out. He gave endless trouble. He will miss studies in the morning before breakfast. And I asked him, what happened? I got up late, sir, he would say. That's all he would say. I had difficulty. He would tell lies, he would bunk, and do all kinds of stuff. And I have had several sessions of trying to talk to him. Very fascinating, brilliant chap. You always came first or second, but since they had problems at home and their family was going through a turmoil, his studies also began to get affected. He began to lose his grades in school. Now, please, teachers, before you find out the mistakes, before you begin to scold at a student, find out a little bit about his background. Here's what I would like to say. Students who give maximum trouble in class have received minimum love from God, from their parents, and significant people. Can I say that again? People who give you maximum trouble in class have experienced minimum love from God, from their parents, and significant people. People who are love deprived seek attention in wrong ways. People who are not loved and affirmed, they get into trouble. I'm not saying all the time. Most of the time, they say, before you judge a person, walk in their shoes for a mind. And when you walk in their shoes, you understand the pain and the suffering they've gone through, and their behavior in class is only a manifestation of the turmoil that they are experiencing in their heart. And it's so important for us as teachers and people who are in this profession to be able to understand their pain and their suffering and their needs. You know, there was a student who came late to class. Every day he came late to class. And the teacher would fire him, and every day he would get scolded. The social worker was informed, and the principal came to know. They tried to find out what happened. So the social worker one day visited the house of this student who came every day late to school. This is a real story. And he went home to this boy's house. He found out that there was no father, no mother. This boy had a younger sister to look after. So the boy, with tears, told the social worker, "Ma'am, I have to get up every day morning, try to make some breakfast, and I have to go have a bath, give my younger sister a bath, change her dress, and by the time I do all of that, and take her and drop her in her school, and come back to my school to attend my class, I'm always late." This broke and brought tears into the social worker's life. Many times we are not aware of what the child is going through. And as we understand more and more, and when you listen to their stories, now I know because of this lockdown and this pandemic, we're going through a difficult time. We're going through a difficult time, but send SMS, call them, talk to them, listen to their stories, and be with them. I want to say this. I want you to be the best friend for the students. And in a friendly relationship, children learn. Children grow. In fact, in the movie Crash Challenge, he gives a definition of a doctor. The definition of a doctor is a learned friend. That's one word. What is the definition of a teacher? A learned friend who loves the children and wants to impart not only knowledge, but wisdom, fear of God, and how to train them, how to equip them to face life with all of these challenges to make them wonderful citizens of our country for God's good. Thank you.